Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Kyla and I am a 25-year-old legally blind adult doll collector. Now, if you're new, this is the video you think it is, I promise. I just happen to feel less anxious in the doll room, and since this is primarily a doll channel, I was like, yeah, we're just gonna use them as a background because that's kind of what they're there for. So this is finally me sharing my mental health story with all of you, my battle with anxiety and depression. So I am going to go ahead right now and issue an 18 and up stipulation and a trigger warning. Come back tomorrow for a lovely, fun doll video. I promise you it will be great. This one just isn't for you, my friends. So with that being said, I share this because I want people to know they are not alone, whether it is with mental health or even adult doll collecting or my visual impairment. I do this because I want people to know they're not alone and there's others like you, and you don't need to feel weird or completely abandoned. They're literally, I promise you. I'm very nervous filming this. I filmed it about a dozen times. Oh, there goes my voice. I filmed it about a dozen times and I've scrapped it every single time. This is something I am comfortable with sharing now. Hopefully if you guys see this, that means I'm comfortable enough to post it. I'm comfortable enough to share it now. I've probably waited a bit too long, so there's a lot to add into the video, so it is gonna be long. So I always say grab some tea and let's get into the story. So basically, I was born with septo-optic dysplasia and optic nerve hypoplasia with nystagmus. Basically, I'm legally blind. I have a ton of videos covering my visual impairment. You can go check those out because that is not what this is about. I am the oldest of 3 children, and I am the oldest of a plethora of cousins on both sides of my family. That's relevant because growing up with a bunch of kids, I was never treated, different than any of the other kids, and I did go, to like regular school and things like that. That is all covered in the visual impairment videos. But I really had my first huge battle with anxiety specifically when I was in 6th grade and I pulled out a good portion of my hair. And that is called trichotillomania. I do have a very old video on that topic. It was awful. It was really terrible. And that's kind of when we realized like, oh, something else with Kyla is just a little bit abnormal. And so then I went through the rest of middle school. 7th and 8th grade, I was a cheerleader. That's relevant in a minute. I promise you, anything I tell you is relevant in this video. Then freshman year, I kind of just got acclimated to the school. It wasn't a new group of kids because it was the same kids I'd gone to school with basically my whole life. It was just a new building. It was a big building and I needed to get acclimated with everything. Sophomore year, I went to one cheer practice. There was a lot of things happening all at once and I could not handle it. I went home, I went to school the next day, and I had a panic attack at school and I did not go back to cheer practice. Nobody was mean to me or anything. It was my first panic attack, and that was in November of 2011, I believe, 11 or 12. Oh no, it's definitely 2011, sorry. There is a timeline, so I'm trying to keep it all straight in my head. So from there, from 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, so from sophomore to senior year, I saw 2 counselors. I'm always going to advocate for counseling and therapy. I think it's amazing. I am someone who has to talk out something that's bothering me. I can't let it be like bottled up inside of me. Like, it literally will make me sick to my stomach if I don't talk about it and it's bothering me. I'm a very emotional person, so I put on mascara today and I'm like, you probably shouldn't have done that because this might make you cry. But anyway, if my mascara runs later, you'll know I'm crying off camera. So I saw 2 counselors, and I also was put on a very low dose of anti-anxiety medication. It wasn't an antidepressant, it was anti-anxiety medication. We didn't go into the doctor saying like, please fix her with this medication. Basically, it wasn't really something my mom and I wanted to do, but now I believe that if you need a little bit of help to balance you out in that way to live a somewhat normal life, please absolutely there's, you know, all kinds of different things you can try and things like that. So again, I do this for awareness. So I graduated in 2015. I went to Leader Dogs for the Blind for a month, and I got Winter, my guide dog, and she's still with me to this day. She is 9 years old. That's absolutely insane. I went to college in September of 2015. Winter and I lived on campus. I had really great roommates for the most part. Yes, I was super anxious a lot of the time, even still on my medication. I was still, you know, you're going to college, okay? Like, who's not anxious? And especially with me, I didn't go to like a big school, but you know, like there's still people. And if you know me, you know I don't like people. People are not like, I'd rather be in a room with 100 cats than 5 people. Like, I just, no. But anyway, I went to college, and in the summer of 2017, I still had 2 more classes to take. So in the summer of 2017, right before I started school again, I was introduced to one of those work from home small business things. I'm not saying the name of the company just because I don't want to get into that, but I worked for this company, you know, I sold stuff from home. It was great because I, you know, didn't have to have anybody to drive me to work. I didn't have to worry about the human interaction. It was fantastic. So I did that, and then I went to class. I only had 2 classes, so I would get a ride there and back because I obviously cannot drive. So I'd get a ride there and back 2 days a week, and then the other 3 days of the week I would, you know, make the sales and ship out the orders and everything like that. So it was great. Then in 2017 December, I received my communications degree, and in January of 2018, now we're entering what I have dubbed the worst year of my life. And I say that because I don't remember a lot of it. This is a very hard year for me to talk about. So between December and January of 17 and 18, I made the irrational decision to take myself off of my medication. Don't do what I did. Please don't do what I did. I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to school anymore, so like maybe I won't have any anxiety, and I'm not like leaving the house as much and everything. And yes, I still lived with my parents and my 2 siblings, but I was at home with the pets all day, and they were at work and school. So I turned 21 in January of 18, and you know, a lot of people for their 21st, yeah, let's go out and party and celebrate and all that stuff and have my first drink. I didn't. I don't even remember what my first drink was, but it was not on my 21st birthday. We catered Olive Garden and brought it to the house because I just don't. I go out to Olive Garden now, but you know, so for my birthday, my 21st birthday, my parents actually got me a trip to Dallas, Texas, to tour the South Fork Ranch, which is where my favorite TV show of all time, Dallas, and I'm talking about the original one, not the reboot, was filmed. And I got to travel there in April of 2018 with my mom and Winter, and it was my first flight, and I got to meet one of my favorite actresses of all time, Miss Linda Gray, and she got to pet Winter. And when I tell you that right there, I didn't think it could get any better than that. I was literally in like my favorite place in the entire world, meeting someone I absolutely admired, and I couldn't believe it. It was crazy, and I had like braced my fear of flying and all that crazy stuff, going through like the security and stuff. Like, oh my, I hate doing that to this day, but it was so beyond worth it. So we came home, and then for about a month, I don't really remember, I think I just kind of like did my business thing, but it wasn't working. So we had made the decision to kind of close my small business and get rid of as much as we could. Now at this point, you have to be thinking like, okay, that's very sad. Yes, and that plays a huge part in this because of the fact that at that point, this was something I thought I could do on my own, and I thought it would be amazing for me, and I wouldn't have to worry as much about a lot of things. Looking back, I realized I didn't fail, but in that time, I thought I was a failure. Like, you did all of this and it didn't work. I felt like an absolute failure. So I think after we made the decision to close the business, I was kind of stuck. And there was a solid week in May of 2018 where I didn't get out of bed at all. I lived in the basement. Our bedrooms, my parents have a finished basement. So my brother and I, our bedrooms were in the basement. So I didn't get out of bed for a solid week, and I literally was watching TV shows I don't even like. Now, if I don't like something, I don't even give the time of day. So I don't know why. I was just watching stuff I didn't even like. So finally, my mom asked me, are you okay? Like, what is going on? And I am super, super emotional. So I kind of freak out, and I don't know how to ask for help, like, at all. I'm not really good at asking for help, which, it's weird because, like, I should be okay with asking for assistance, and I'm just more of a, like, do-it-yourself person, I guess. I don't like asking for help. I always have this thing in my head that I'm bothering people, and even though I'm not, that's just what my head tells me. So, basically, from June, my sister and I switched rooms. So I moved upstairs to a room with 2 windows, and she got my old room. My parents like painted both the rooms and kind of made them our own. So I moved upstairs where I could be around a lot of people, because I'm not going to come upstairs and be around people. And my sister is the type of person, she's the social one. She will come upstairs and talk to everybody. She, didn't like to be alone like I did. So I moved upstairs. From June, I would say, until September, it's kind of a blur that entire summer. I did go to a new doctor, and I was put back on the medication I originally was taken off, or took myself off of, excuse me. I was put back on that, and I went to work for my family business, which is where I work now, which is where I had worked before I started the other thing. And basically, oh gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. So that summer, I just remember it was a lot of sleepless nights of me crying in my room, listening to specific songs that I no longer can listen to because it makes me think of those times. I was very, very depressed. This is where the trigger warning really comes into effect, because I had tried to harm myself. And this is something that only a few close people to me know. Obviously my parents and my nanny, that's my grandma. I told her in an Olive Garden. I'll never forget that. It was really bad, and I was like, this kind of thing doesn't happen to people. Like, it doesn't happen to me. Like, it just doesn't. Why is this happening to me? And I would just constantly question, like, God, why me? Like, you think, what did I do to deserve this, to feel like this? And I'm sorry, guys. You did nothing. This is just another test of how strong you can be. And so, there was a couple points where I didn't want to live anymore. And I only share that because I know so many people have felt that way, and it's absolutely terrible, because life is an absolutely precious gift that God gives us. So I really reached a point where I didn't want to live. I didn't want to be here. I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I didn't feel like anybody really wanted me here, and that wasn't the case, because my whole family and my friend group were absolutely amazing. And my best friend at the time would take me, and we would go get dinner, and we would just go for car rides all the time, and that really helped me through that time specifically. So that was the summer of 2018. The fall of 2018 is where things get a little bit darker. Basically, I had been watching a lot of horror films and American Horror Story. Now, I do like horror films, and American Horror Story is still one of my favorite shows to watch. Now, the problem here is, when you are in a vulnerable mind space, you should not be letting stuff like that into your head, and I did. However, I can still watch it now, but I'm not as, like, obsessed with it as I was. I would repeatedly watch Coven, like, over and over again, and that was my comfort show, and that isn't really good. It's still going to be my favorite season. It did help me a lot. It's definitely not like the worst season, but through that, I was actually able to discover or rediscover basically Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac. And I bought Fleetwood Mac records and I bought myself a record player. And that is where my healing process really began. I am a firm believer that music does help heal you. And Fleetwood Mac has a very calming sense about them. Maybe it's because they're literally a band from when my parents were little, because they're just very, their music anyway. So Fleetwood Mac definitely really helped me from October of 2018 to now. They're relevant in a few minutes. They're really relevant. So I also went through this phase where now I have a lot of black clothes in my wardrobe just because it goes with everything. It does not go with cat hair, but it does go with a lot of things. But I was buying kind of more black clothes than normal. I wasn't eating very well, so I was like fluctuating weight. And I've often struggled with my appearance, specifically my weight and my face, just because I have a lot of scarring and acne, which you can't tell now, but back then it was really bad. So I've often struggled with my appearance. So I got black clothes. I wanted to dye my hair darker, and I got black nail polish, which I never put on because it was this weird nail polish from Amazon, and it was like it was awful. Thank the Lord it didn't work. So I remember asking my mom, can we please dye my hair dark? And she was like, no, because my mom's a cosmetologist. So she was like, no, you can't do that. So she let it go. It was like a little bit darker than normal, and there's pictures of me with it, but it's not like brown. Like I wanted brown hair, and I don't know why, because I'm blonde. I don't know why. But I did. I kind of went through this phase where I wanted everything dark. The first few weeks of January of 2019 were really awful. There was a day where I specifically turned off my phone. I locked the door. I turned off all the lights in my room, and I just laid there like all day, and I didn't eat anything. Nobody was home. And my dad actually had to unlock the door. I think he used a butter knife probably. And he was like, why aren't you answering your phone? Like, what is wrong with you? Your mom's trying to get a hold of you. And I was like, why? And she had been on the phone with my aunt, and they were actually purchasing tickets for me to go see Fleetwood Mac live in concert. And so that night also my best friend came over, and she wanted to check on me, and that is still my best friend to this day, and she has definitely seen me through the worst of the worst, and I thank God for her every day. So basically the next week, the day before my birthday in 2019, I went to a brand new doctor, and I got on a antidepressant. And because the medication I was on obviously wasn't working, so we switched things up. I got a brand new doctor who was absolutely incredible. It made me feel so much better just going into that environment and speaking with her, and she's very, very knowledgeable and just seems to really care. And so I was very appreciative of that. So then I turned 22, and things got better from there. I went to the Fleetwood Mac concert with my aunt and uncle in March of 2019, and it is still one of the best things I've ever done. A few months prior to that, if you would have asked me to go, I absolutely would not have. But my aunt and uncle took me, and it was awesome, and I would absolutely love to do it all over again. It was so fun. And so then in May of that same year, I ended up moving out of my parents' house into my grandparents' house. And no, there wasn't like any bad blood between me and my parents or anything. It was just kind of, when kids turn 16, they usually get their driver's license. I couldn't do that. And then usually they I don't know, get an apartment or something. And I just, I wasn't ready. I was just a little bit behind. Probably because of my mental state and my disability. So I moved in with my grandparents, and no, it wasn't weird or awkward or anything. I'm super close with them, and my parents were literally right down the road. So it was fine. So Winter and I lived there for about a year and a half. While I was living there, I'm not going to say where my house is, but we began the process of me buying a house. and that's where I live now, the house with the infamous doll room. I bought my house in December of 2020, and I have lived here ever since, and I have 3 incredible pets that I love. They're my fur children. I have a job. I have this incredible channel. I've got amazing family and friends, and all of you subscribers, you guys are absolutely incredible. So basically, I can't even see how long this video is. I don't even want to look at how long I've kept you all here for, but that is kind of describing everything I've gone through in a nutshell, and how I got here where I am today, and that I am still here. And even on those nights that you are crying in your room listening to songs that you think will make you feel better, but they just don't, you will get through those nights. You will. And there's a bright future out there for each and every one of us. I'm not gonna lie, things still do make me super anxious. I love the fall time. However, I don't like those dreary, cloudy days because they make me feel things I don't want to. And certain things absolutely do trigger me, like certain smells or sounds or something, they trigger me, and I automatically am like taken back to that mindset. And it's kind of terrifying, but I am okay now. I am doing extremely well. I think I am the happiest with myself physically and mentally I have been in a long time. I'm very happy with who I am and who I've become. And that is why I chose to share this with all of you. If you guys ever want to reach out to me, please send me an email. It's always down below, or shoot me a direct message on Instagram. I am absolutely here to talk and pray for each and every one of you if you are having any issues at all. I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to listen to my story. I know I'm just a face on the internet coming to you through a screen on your TV or your phone or your computer, but I'm a person, and we all can experience things like this at some point in our lives. And if you do, you're not alone, my friends. So I'm not going to end with the usual outro, but I just want to say again, thank you all, and God bless.